What is up to the toughest fan base in the world? And man, look at this crazy day because we got an old face returning to our coaching staff and a massive call on the future of a receiver who cost a ton but gave us nothing. We are also talking about a giant bidding war for a guy who is absolutely flying right now and leading the league in yards per catch, plus this whole story about a new offensive coordinator who might be our coach's longtime right-hand man. So let's get straight to it because things are heating up in Pittsburgh, and I am going to give you every single detail right now. We all know the defense is what keeps this team breathing even when everything else is falling apart, and the news is Mike McCarthy decided to bring in a guy who knows exactly what it means to wear the Steelers jersey. Jason Simmons is coming back home after bouncing around the league, and for those who don't remember, he was our 5th-round pick back in 1998 and played 4 seasons here before heading to Texas. Now he is here to beef up the defensive staff, but what really stands out is not just his past as a player, but that direct connection he has with McCarthy from back in the Green Bay days. Because Simmons worked with him from 2011 to 2018, doing a bit of everything from special teams to coaching up the defensive backs. The fact is, McCarthy is building an army of guys he trusts to make sure nobody falls off the tracks, and Simmons is coming off recent stints as a defensive passing game coordinator for the Commanders and time with the Raiders and Panthers too, so he brings a ton of experience seeing what works and what doesn't. We are all hoping he can fix that secondary of ours because sometimes it feels like they forget how to play zone and leave massive holes for the other team to exploit. What I love about this move is that he knows the weight of this organization, and he won't accept anything less than excellence because he felt that Pittsburgh tradition himself. Having a guy of this caliber working with our new DC, Patrick Graham, shows the front office finally gets that we can't just stand still while the rest of the division is arming itself to the teeth. If Simmons can bring that same aggression he had on the field to our players, we can actually dream of a defense that does not just hold on, but dictates the tempo and punishes the opposing QB like the old days. We are just waiting to see his exact role since the formal announcement is not out yet, but we know that wherever McCarthy puts his stamp and brings in his people, the work is usually locked in. Simmons has everything to be that key piece to help us shut the door in the back and give the offense some peace of mind to go do their job because we are tired of seeing the defense carry the whole load alone. Now, it looks like the support staff is being built, so nobody has an excuse to fail on the field, and we need that mentality from someone drafted by this team because Simmons knows that here in Pittsburgh, the expectations are just different. There is no such thing as a day off when we are talking about protecting our end zone, and the guy spent 10 years as a pro being a reliable backup and a special teams ace, so he understands the value of hard work and grinding to earn your spot. That is exactly the energy McCarthy wants to inject into this roster, so we stop taking dumb losses because of mental lapses in the secondary, and his return is a clear sign that the McCarthy era is going to be built on loyalty and people who truly get the winning culture we are trying to bring back at all costs. We all know there are some signings where you just feel right away that it is not going to work, and this Jonnu Smith situation in Pittsburgh was exactly that train wreck that cost us big and delivered nothing. Now, Jerry Dulac is already reporting that the front office is likely going to cut him before free agency even starts because paying $12.0 million for a guy who was a total non-factor in the offense is like a punch in the gut to the fans. We remember he came over in that Dolphins trade that also brought us Jalen Ramsey, and the hope was he would be that 2024 Pro Bowl guy, but the reality was a tight end who barely hit 200 yards and only had 2 touchdowns the whole season. The fact is our tight end room is crowded with guys like Darnell Washington and Pat Freiermuth, and it makes 0 sense to burn $7.0 million in cap space to keep a veteran who is not producing. Not even Mike McCarthy with his offensive mind could save this bad investment because we saw that even when Smith got chances, he did not do much and the scheme just never found a way to use him. The best move now is to eat the $4.0 million in dead money and free up that space for someone who actually wants to play and produce. It is so frustrating to see team money go down the drain on these bets that don't pay off, and Smith is the top candidate to get cut because his value is easily one of the worst on the roster. We really hope the front office learns this time that names don't matter if the guy doesn't fit the system or have that fire to fight for every yard like we demand here in Pittsburgh. Cutting him is just basic financial logic and honestly a matter of pride to build a real contender for 2026. Freeing up that $7.0 million in cap space is going to be huge for us to go find an elite receiver or fix the offensive line, which still has its issues. Smith just did not justify the investment in his blocking or as a receiving threat over the middle where he should have been a problem for defenses. What really bugs the fans is seeing the wasted potential of a guy who was a Pro Bowler but acted like he was in early retirement once he got to Pittsburgh. We don't have time to carry anyone, especially not for that kind of money when we need every cent to rebuild our offensive identity. If McCarthy wants to modernize this team, he has to start by cleaning house, and Smith is the perfect example of how we missed the mark lately trying to find magic in players past their prime. We know that finding a partner for DK Metcalf has been a total saga for years, and the front office never seems to hit the mark to get someone who can actually take the pressure off our main guy. But now Alec Pierce is popping up as a golden opportunity, and Zachary Pareles from CBS already has the Steelers in a dogfight against the Raiders and the Bills and even the Commanders to see who lands this guy who is a total burner. The fact is Pierce is young and incredibly fast, and he led the league in yards per reception 2 years in a row, which is exactly what we need for this stuck offense that can't stretch the field. We need someone to force the defense to back off and open things up for our run game, and Pierce is coming off a 1,000-yard season with the Colts. If he hits the open market, he is going to be one of the hottest names because he is that explosive playmaker we haven't seen in Pittsburgh for a while. SpotTrack is already projecting a contract around $80.0 million over 4 years, which is steep but worth every penny if he brings that vertical game Mike McCarthy loves. We are all a bit skeptical if our front office will actually open the wallet and compete with the big dogs or just stand by while another chance passes us by while we struggle with a receiving core that scares nobody but Metcalf. Truth is, Pierce is the perfect fit for this new cycle since he is 25 and in his physical prime. Seeing him on the other side of the field would be a nightmare for any defensive coordinator, and we are hoping McCarthy uses his influence to show that Pittsburgh is the place for him to shine and help us escape this offensive mediocrity we have been stuck in. If we lose him to a division rival or a team like the Bills, it is just going to be another sign that we aren't serious about building a champion and are just happy being playoff filler. We can't have a predictable offense anymore, and Pierce brings that spark that makes defenses shake and lets Metcalf do his thing without being doubled every play. This market battle is going to show who really wants to win now and who is just okay with balancing the books while the fans suffer through a stale offense with no creativity. We know Mike McCarthy does not waste time when it comes to building an offense that actually works, and the speed the Steelers are moving at to fill this coaching staff is something we haven't seen here in decades. Now, the big name to take over the OC job is Scott Tolzien, who is currently with the Saints handling the quarterbacks. The interest is so real that the front office already told New Orleans they are going to interview the guy to be McCarthy's right-hand man for play calling. The fact is, Tolzien is another guy from that circle of trust because he was McCarthy's backup QB in Green Bay and then worked on his staff with the Cowboys too. You can see the plan is to surround the team with people who speak the same language and know exactly how the boss wants the ball moved. Tolzien has a reputation for being a QB guru, which is perfect for us as we try to develop Will Howard or whoever ends up leading this offense. We remember he helped Dak Prescott have those star seasons, and over with the Saints, he got Tyler Show ready in a way nobody expected to take over the starting job. What we want as fans is for that chemistry between him and McCarthy to bring back the aggression we lost a long time ago. Having a coordinator who thinks like a quarterback is huge for making quick and efficient reads, and if Tolzien is the guy, he is another piece of the puzzle McCarthy is building with guys like Patrick Graham and Adam Henry. We are all waiting to see if the offense finally gets its own identity or if it is just more of the same with different names because we are tired of promises. We want to see if that winning DNA they are bringing in can survive the pressure of Pittsburgh. We are pulling for a great interview and hoping Tolzien brings that modern passing vision we need to stop struggling against division rivals who already have our old scheme figured out. His big edge might be that history of turning guys people overlooked into productive pieces in a smooth system. That is exactly what our offense needs, is someone who can get the absolute most out of every player without overcomplicating things, but being lethal when attacking the opponent's weaknesses. That is what I always say, and at the end of the day, we just want to see this team honor that heavy jersey again, because patience has a limit, and this whole McCarthy rebuild has to show results fast and not just talk. But anyway, that is the talk for today, and thanks a ton to everyone who hung out to chat. Look, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss anything, because we need your support to keep this conversation going. Drop a comment below on what you think about all this. And hey, there is a hype button down there too, so if you can use it, that helps out a lot. Thanks, and catch you later.